a firearms instructor, a man who says that he strongly supports gun rights, and we'll get his thoughts on some of the ideas that the state's attorney has presented to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Joining us now is a firearms instructor, Mike Brown, a former South Suburban police officer who's also taught at a local college. How would you prevent these kinds of suburban lone wolf massacres that we've seen, Mr. Brown?
Well, one of the things that I did happen to see is that when you look at the family history, there tends to have been a lot of calls to police in that family. And so if you look at the previous histories of Adam Lanza and other active shooters, what we find is a slight or major dysfunction in the family. There often is a breakdown of communication, kids feeling as though they have no voice, no one to hear them, things of that nature. So I think if there is a major focus on the family combined with other legislative methods, Superintendent Brown has known to say that you can't police your way out of these situations as it relates to, Black and brown violence in the community. The same thing is to be said about these lone wolf attacks where it's hard to predict because no one hears these children and teenagers when they are speaking. And so sometimes they feel that this is the only way.
Many of those in Black and brown communities are linked to gangs and sort of a social substitute for a family. The ones we see with these young white male shooters, also family dysfunction, but they're often all by themselves.
Sure. Well, the thing is, they planned the attack. In this case, it is said that Mr. Crimo has planned this attack for weeks. If you go all the way back to Columbine with Eric Harrison, Dylan Klebold, it said that they planned their attack for weeks as well. Adam Lanza and others that have fallen into that active shooter.
So how could you prevent that? We were just talking to the state's attorney of Lake County. He wants to ban the kinds of military-style firearms that this fella Crimo used up in Highland Park.
Not going to change anything as it relates to that, because if you look at the Virginia Tech shooting, as I've stated before, this situation or this mass shooting was conducted with pistols. So if there's a focus on family, parental accountability, giving more resources to parents and to social workers and things of that nature when they are dealing with persons who they feel have altered mental statuses, there has to be a focus or a centering around the family. And until we do that, it's going to be hard. But here's the question that I ask. After you take away the firearm, after you institutionalize the person, after this person gets whatever type of services you think they need, does that address the problem if the source of the problem was family?
You're saying there is no, you don't think an assault weapons ban would actually stop these?
The thing is, Highland Park had an assault weapons ban at the time this occurred. That is one thing that is not being mentioned in any type of media that I've heard of. It's the Ordinance 68-13. They had an assault weapons ban, and this was someone from their town who, regardless of that ban, still did what he did. And if there's not an emphasis on family, then what do we have?
Yeah, of course, the ban in one small little town, de facto, there was no ban because anybody could simply leave the town and go buy these kinds of weapons.
Sure. Yeah, that's always the case. I mean, you're never going to be able to criminalize ingenuity. They ban bump stocks. They're going to come out with something else. There's always in the firearms industry something else that is being made because you're never going to criminalize ingenuity. If we don't focus on not just the tool, but if we don't focus on the person motivated to use that tool, motivated to use a car, then we're going to still be back at this juncture.
All right, Mike Brown, firearms instructor, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be right back after a quick break.